veterans, do you know how to obtain a single 100% for a mental condition? As a former VA rating specialist, I'm going to walk you through how you do it and how I saw other veterans do it when I adjudicated rating decisions for the VA. Make sure you stick around. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball, United States Army veteran, retired VA rating specialist, and you know it, your VA claim nugget man. Before we get into today's video, you know what you got to do. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. Also, do not forget to click the link in the description section and pick up my new book, The VA Compensation Blueprint. So, how do you obtain a single 100% for a mental condition? This is something I want you to keep in mind before I even get started. Not all veterans warrant 100% for PTSD, major depressive disorder, schizophrenia, or whatever the mental diagnosis is. But if you do, you can follow this process. I've seen it work when I adjudicated claims for veterans. Now, I'm not promising you, I'm not guaranteeing you anything. I'm not even a mental health provider. What I'm talking about is per my training that the VA provided me and the VA regulations. So let's go ahead and get into it. Slide number one. Here in slide number one, what I'm showing you, and this is not all of them, but these are some mental health diagnoses along with the diagnostic code, okay? And again, this is not all of them. I couldn't fit all of them on this one page. So you can go through and you can see the different types of diagnoses that the VA will service connect you for, all right? And you can find all these in the mental health rating schedule on the VA's website, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number two. Here in slide number two, I'm showing you the general rating formula for mental disorders for the 170%, okay? But we're gonna look at both of these, but we're gonna pay close attention to the 100% because you can see there is a slight difference. So for the 70%, at the bottom, it states occupational and social impairment. For the 100%, it says total occupational and social impairment. And I'm going to share with you where you can find these on the DBQ. Now, as I'm going through this, people, veterans, family members of veterans, this is what I want to point out. This is a huge nugget. You can use this, what I'm showing you on this slide and the next two slides, you can use this for any condition. And what I mean is, this is the diagnostic code criteria. So when you find the diagnostic code criteria, you want to go out to the DBQ and see where that diagnostic code criteria is on the DBQ. And that's what I'm going to show you for the mental conditions, okay? So you can see the difference. I got them highlighted in red: occupational and social impairment, and total occupational and social impairment for the 100%. And it says due to such symptoms as symptoms. And it gives you a list of symptoms: gross impairment in thought processes or communication, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, for the 70%, it's a little bit different. It says with deficiencies in most areas, such as work, school, family, relations, judgment, thinking, or mood, due to such symptoms as, okay? Symptoms. Here's the nugget, people. If you're filing a claim, whether it be for a mental condition secondary to your service-connected conditions, an increase, or an initial claim for a mental condition, guess what the VA is doing here? They're giving you the answers that you can put in your lay statement. You can use this verbatim, okay, and list the symptoms. Now, you don't have to have all the symptoms at 100%. You could have half and half, or it could be all the symptoms in 100 and half of what are in the 70%, okay? So keep in mind, every claim is different, But guess what? Make sure that evidence bags up total occupational and social impairment with these symptoms. And you can look at the 70%, you can even look at the 50% and see, hey, I got symptoms from all different rating criteria, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number 3, okay? So here in slide number 3, you can see this is the occupation and social impairment. This is on the DBQ. And this is where a lot of veterans fail at any condition. Like I just stated on the previous slide, they don't go to the diagnostic code criteria for that condition and look at it and say, oh, wait a minute, I meet this percentage for this condition. Let me go out and get evidence to show that. Let me look at the DBQ and see where this information is at. That's especially important because if you have a private examiner to complete a DBQ, you want to make sure they completed it correctly before you submit it to the VA. So here you have occupation and social impairment under 3A. Which of the following best summarizes the veteran's level of occupational and social impairment with regard to all mental diagnoses? Check only one. So down there at the bottom, you can see total occupational and social impairment. Here's a nugget, people. If you have to go to a C&P exam, let's just say you claiming PTSD, increase in PTSD, or whatever, okay? You want to explain how that mental condition impacts your occupational life and your social life. Think about why you got service connected for that mental health condition. If it's PTSD, what was the stressor? How does that stressor impact, again, your occupational and social impairment? That's how you reasonably articulate it to a private examiner to get them to check that total occupational and social impairment box, and a VA C&P examiner. Woo, it's a lot of nuggets there. Let's keep going. Slide number 4. Here in slide number 4, this is the Mental Health DBQ, okay? And this section is for symptoms. Now, there's a page after this. At the top, it has more symptoms. Again, I could not fit all of them on one page. So you can go down all these symptoms, and guess what you're going to do? You're going to flip back to that slide or go to the VA's website to their rating schedule and look at the symptoms, okay? And if you have a private mental health examiner, you could check some of these boxes and tell them, hey, doc, this is what I feel I have. And they can confirm it during your session when they're completing that DBQ. So you can see I just showed you the occupational impairment and the symptoms. That's the only thing in the diagnostic code criteria. This DBQ, I want to say it's about 8 pages, maybe not that long, maybe 7 pages or something like that, okay? So again, you want to make sure that your evidence matches the diagnostic code criteria, which in turn matches what's in the DBQ. And think about this, people. You can do this for any condition. Not saying you're going to get 100% for each condition, but as it pertains to your evidence relating to the diagnostic code criteria, in turn, that diagnostic code criteria in the DBQ. All right, let's keep going. Slide number 5. Here in slide number 5, this is something that a lot of veterans don't think about, okay? And you normally see this with IU claims, but you can use it for other mental health claims, but outside of IU, especially if you're trying to get 100%, okay? So it says definition, protected environment. It says employment in a protected environment is a type of marginal employment in a lower income position, all right? And it gives you some other information there. And then go down to the bottom where it says important, and I want you to read that. Now, when I was doing my research, this was under IU. I'm not trying to get you to think about IU. I'm trying to get you to think about protected environment as it pertains to total occupational and social impairment. I'm gonna say it again. This M21-1, you can find it under individual unemployability, okay? But I don't want you to think of the term protected environment based on IU. I want you to think about it as it pertains to total and social occupational impairment, okay? And you're probably thinking, Dwayne, I'm still lost. Don't worry about it. I'm about to clarify it for you. Slide number 6. I promise this is the last slide, okay? So here's an example of your statement and a supervisor's statement, okay? So the veteran statement: because of my service-connected PTSD, my employer has had to make significant special accommodation that is not provided to other employees, which allows me to continue working despite serious impairment in my ability to function in a normal workplace. I'm getting there, bear with me. I often have loud outbursts, become easily triggered, and need to step away multiple times a day to calm down or regain control. My supervisors have lowered expectations, overlooked behavioral incidents, and adjusted my workload to avoid disciplinary action that would normally occur. I have been granted FMLA specifically for PTSD related episodes, and I am currently finalizing work from home accommodations, okay, because I struggle to maintain control of my symptoms around others, okay? Now, lastly, these adjustments show that I am essentially working in a protected environment and will not be able to sustain employment without these extensive allowances, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is an example that I came up with. And I'm not going to read the supervisor's statement, but I want you to pause this and just read both of them and say, hey, that reflects me, okay? Because they're talking about FMLA, they're talking about the company or supervisor or management team have given special allowances to you, all right? And finalizing work from home accommodations. Working from home is also considered a protected environment. Keep that in mind. And I didn't include it in any of these slides, but when you go out to the VA's M21-1, guess what? They give you examples of protected environments. So essentially what they're doing, they're giving you the answer to the test. You just have to go out there, do the heavy lifting, invest the time, like I did when I was doing this research, to find the answers to the test, okay? Now, not every veteran warrants a single 100% for a mental condition. I am not saying, hey, everybody go out and just do this and you'll get it. No, if you feel you warrant 100% for a mental condition, this is a way for you to get there. But there's still much more to add to that claim, like evidence showing that you meet the total social and occupational impairment, or is it the total occupational and social impairment, all right? With that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and as always, share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.